Hi, this is Eric Sloov and I'm joined by Mike Laverick. Mike, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
We are in Hall 7 and Hall 7 has a special booth for the EVO Rail Challenge. Mike, can you explain what the EVO Rail Challenge means?
Well, the EVO Rail Challenge is essentially a drag race. We get people to come in and try and configure the EVO Rail appliance in the shortest possible time. Now, the appliance itself only takes 15 minutes to build out, so really it's all about how quick your fingers are. And the prize is a free ticket to VMworld next year.
Oh, that's great. So you're introducing some errors, you're changing an IP address or a host name, and if I'm able to fix it and I'm the fastest person, I earn a ticket.
Yeah, what I would say though is it's usually errors that the person doing the actual exercise introduces rather than errors that we introduce ourselves. So it's about your accuracy when it comes to filling in that form of all the settings needed to build out the EVO Rail.
Okay. So last year we've spoken about EVO Rail 2. A year has passed. What's happening in this space? Are there any new things?
There are plenty of new things. Our particular development team is especially agile. They're not in lockstep with vSphere, so they can iterate new releases of EVO Rail at a much faster rate than the platform does. The two big changes that came through last year was we announced a new hardware specification. When EVO Rail first launched, you could have any color you liked as long as it was black. The actual amount of memory, CPU cores, and disk was fixed across all the partners. Now, we always intended to offer a bigger box, for want of a better word. So the debate was always between whether we should have small, medium, large, or extra large t-shirt sizes, or whether we should allow our customers to be able to turn the dials on all those resources. And it's that second one that we've gone for. So the EVO Rail Maxi configuration, we're now offering 2 terabytes worth of memory per appliance, 25 terabytes worth of raw capacity, and over 100 cores on a single 2U chassis with those 4 nodes inside it. So hopefully that will attract interest as people want to take bigger loads. And then the other change that came through was with the scalability of the product as well. When we first launched last year, we were offering 16 nodes in the cluster. Of course, you will know, given your expertise, that vSphere 5.5 supported 32 nodes. And then the new release, which is imminent, based on vSphere 6, we'll be looking at 64 nodes in a cluster. So if you think about it, 64 nodes, 2 terabytes each, that's a very, very big cluster. So EVO Rail is rapidly becoming not just a scale out, but a scale up kind of platform. And I imagine a lot of people here in Europe will be interested in it because a lot of people can fit their workloads into a cluster of that size comfortably.
Okay, great. So, and if you look at the adoption in the market, there was a bit of a difference between the US and Europe. Do you see customers choosing for this solution more and more?
Yeah, I mean, what I say to people, I get asked all the time about numbers, and of course they're commercially sensitive, and I don't always get to see every single vendor, just the ones I work with closely. So my joke is EVO Rail, we've not sold as many EVO Rails as Apple have sold iPhones. That's definitely true. And I think there's always that kind of pressure on VMware, especially probably more than any other vendor, to outperform and outsell every other person in the marketplace. And I guess that's, our American friends would say, that's a nice problem to have, that high expectation. But when you're bringing a hardware platform into the marketplace, you've got to understand that customers aren't always at the right point to buy. They may have just acquired something, or they may be mid-point in their hardware refresh cycle. So unless you can grab hold of them for a particular project or a particular use case like Robo, which is different from their data center environment, it takes a while to actually gain momentum. But I think changes have come through, like the hardware platform. The other big change that I think has accelerated things is the vSphere loyalty program. So customers who have spare socket licenses for vSphere can bring them to the EVO Rail appliance and receive a discount off the appliance by reusing their vSphere licenses. Quite properly, a lot of customers who had spare sockets looked at EVO Rail and said, well, when I buy an EVO Rail, I'm buying vSphere again, and I already have those licenses here. Now, what I think is great about VMware is when we do see a jive in that kind of licensing process, we react to it and we change the policy. I can remind everybody listening in that there are software vendors out there who still have licensing policies that are 10 years old and have never been changed since virtualization exists. So occasionally VMware has those little wrinkles around licensing, but at least we react with them within 6 months to a year to fix that particular problem. whereas some of our competitors tend to say, well, we're just going to stick with the policy that we've had for the last 20 years.
So, as a little recap, better licensing, better scalability, new version, it sounds great.
Yeah, it does. I mean, one thing I want to finish with or just say is the 2.0 release of EVO is imminent. As I mentioned earlier, it'll be based on vSphere 6, vSAN 6. There are other architectural changes in the product as well, which might seem a bit esoteric, but actually are very important. So the first release of this product was based on standard switches. We've moved over to distributed switches, and that means if you want to use NSX with EVO you can do out of the box. We always supported NSX, but you and I know migrating from a standard switch to a distributed switch isn't the nicest of experience for a VI admin. So being able to use distributed switches from day one will help us deliver NSX. The other change is we've now got our own dedicated appliance for the virtual appliance for the EVO. So originally the EVO engine lived inside Virtual Center, and it now exists in a separate VM. Now the reason that's important is that it gives us complete freedom to do more validation about your external network. Yeah? So EVO doesn't ship with a physical switch, so we're very much dependent on that physical switch being correctly configured with the right settings enabled and the right VLANs there. Right. So going forward, what that architectural change will allow is for us to do more introspection of the physical network to say, yeah, everything's good, or you need to look at that switch, there's an issue with it.
Okay, great. So if you want to win a ticket to next year's VMworld, you definitely visit Mike Laverick in Hall 7 at the EVO booth. Mike, many thanks.
Thank you very much.